Okay, Coach, maybe some thoughts from you on what you saw from the film from the Utah game and what you're looking forward to with family weekend against USC this weekend.
Yeah, in Utah, just like probably everybody that watched it, there was some pretty good football played by us in the first half. A few mistakes here and there. But the second half, we didn't execute at times, and you got to give them some credit. It's a good team at their place. And, it's unfortunate that we're not putting in 4 quarters together as far as execution goes, but there are moments in every game I see us getting better. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of other stuff that we're not doing well enough to win the games. And if we're not good enough to play poorly and win at times, and we've played poorly at times against really good teams, and they've beaten us. But we're going to hang in there. We're going to battle. There's obviously a lot of question marks about injuries and who's going to be available, so we won't know for a couple of days. And so we'll have to react accordingly with our game plans on both sides of the ball.
What's the biggest thing holding back that execution in the second half?
I don't know. I don't think it's easy to point that there's different people going in and out because you get banged up. But everybody gets banged up. But it does alter things a little bit. You have to change some of your plans, some of your calls. And guys are still learning the schemes that are, some of the young guys. But I think it's a combination. One, we've just had one or two guys at one certain times that maybe miss an assignment. But it's not been a lot of guys all the time. And you got to give the other team some credit, too.
It seems like in the last 2 weeks there's been a lot of confusion offensively at times with some of the personnel groups. Is that because of all the changes?
Confusion?
Yeah, it seems like with wide receivers when they're supposed to be in and that.
No. You're watching something I'm not. There's not been an issue at all with our substitution. Our veterans have done a pretty good job. They play every position. So we're moving them around in different spots, but I don't think there's been confusion.
Injury-wise, has it gotten any better from 28-18 like you let off with?
Well, there was 25 on the list, so unfortunately there's a couple new ones, and it's frustrating because it just happens, and you hope you get a little bit of luck, and we'll have an open date after this one, so hopefully we can get a couple guys back after that. Cody Ippolito's out for the year because he tore his ACL, but some of the other injuries I don't think are long-term. It's still in the short term it doesn't help you, but, the open date will help get some of the guys back, we think.
How frustrating is it for Cody to have had that happen, I guess, third time?
Yeah, it's extremely frustrating to him, and he's playing really well, and, he loves the game, so it's really unfortunate.
So you have Michael Barton, obviously, who can step in at that position. Who else do you have at middle linebacker?
I think Jake Matthews can play there. I think Jake can play both those positions as well. I don't think DeAndre can play the Mike, but Jake can go in and out, and I'm glad Michael's here because Michael's been playing pretty good football for us. Obviously, he's a rookie in the system, but everybody's really a rookie in the system. But he's played pretty solid.
You knew you were going to be without Jake. Was that a late week thing?
I didn't know until we got to the stadium. I think it was earlier in the day that it was vertigo or something. I don't know all the medals. It's the first time I've seen this. I've had it happen, and I don't know what caused it or whether it was. I thought, I hope it ain't something he ate because a lot of other guys probably ate the same thing. But it was a kind of a strange thing, and he should be fine now, but I didn't know until I actually got to the stadium.
What's the story of how Larry Tharp came to you guys?
Yeah, just, walk on it. We saw on film, invited him, and he's been on the scout team for the first, 6-7 weeks of the season, and with some of the injuries, we thought, we got to get this. He's got decent size. He's got to get stronger, and he's got to know what we're doing, but we got to get, a regular rotation in there as we're committed to, the rotating 6 or 7 guys in there, and he got in there and made some plays, and he did all right for the first time.
Why do you think this series has been so close with the last 9 games between Arizona and USC decided by 8 points or fewer?
I didn't realize it. It's been, we've obviously they're very talented. Everybody knows that. They recruited at a high level. I'm not sure we have many guys any guys that were offered by them, but nonetheless, we got good players, and they've got really good players that are recruited by most people in the country. But I think it's a really intense, a lot of our players probably know their players. It's an intense environment whenever we play them because the guys get after each other pretty good.
Rich, did you anticipate the stemming was going to create the type of confusion that what we saw in that game on Saturday? And what's the benefit for you?
Well, we have to be active defensively. It's not just moving the front. We have to move linebackers. We have to move secondary. Because when you're undersized and you're going to just say, okay, we're going to be here, they're going to be there, and we're just going to whip them. At times, you got to be able to use leverage and defeat a block. And when we've struggled is when we've not defeated blocks quickly enough. But the movement for all 11 guys is one of the advantages that the defense has. You know, the offense has to stay still other than the guy in motion. Defense, you can move all 11 guys. And so with that being the rules, you know, we move the front. And sometimes we move a little late or sometimes we move too much or whatever, but it's something we're committed to doing, and our guys are pretty good at it. But it doesn't seem, you know, that we get a whole lot of penalties because of it. I think particularly if you're playing in somebody else's place, but for whatever reason, we got a few of them in that game.
Coaching staff had accused your defensive line of shouting out signals.
We went through this before.
Yeah, is that something that's?
What's the accuse? Who cares what he said? I accused them of making more plays than us and winning the game. You know, my accusation's probably right. They won more. You know, they made more plays than us and won the game. I made remember what game was it that they called? Yeah, there you go. And our guys make a call that doesn't even simulate ready, set, go or hut or anything like that. So we're not doing it when the quarterback is saying his cadence, but you're allowed to communicate defensively. So empty accusation.
With Cody, and I understand it just happened, but with his previous ACL injuries, he'd probably at least be able to apply for sixth year. Has he talked to you about?
Oh, I think he wants to. I think the doctors and everybody has to come to a decision, including me. You know, anybody that at some point as a coach, you say, listen, this is, you know, you got to think about your long-term health and all that. But Cody's the kind that wants to play. You know, he's a guy that loves football and wants to play. But I'm not going to, have to decide. You can't do anything with that anyway till after the season.
Chase Whitaker, you guys elevated him to the starting lineup, and it seemed like he played really well.
Yeah, I do think he played pretty well. Our defense, for not just being a young guy playing extended time, but against some pretty good folks, we thought he played really well and competed really well. And he's young, but he's going to keep getting better. And I think it helps because we'll need him and obviously Dane and Devontae have three guys that we can rely on out there.
Best avoid some of these zone situations defensively where we're seeing linebackers against speedier guys like slots and tight ends.
You could change things up. That's what we're trying to do defensively. We don't always want to play man because, obviously you got some mismatches there, and then you got to have some bigger guys in to stop the run. Everybody's looking for that hybrid linebacker safety guy that's strong enough to play the run and fast enough to guard slot receivers. And, they're looking for him on the next level. And we're looking for him on our level too. And we got some guys that can do that, but with that in mind and the way the game is going, we're certainly recruiting toward that end as well.
What's most concerning, because USC, they threw 3 touchdown passes to tight ends in that game on Saturday. What's most concerning about what they can do with their big?
The most concerning thing is the athleticism of other tight ends. You're talking about big guys that can run, and obviously everybody wants that too, but when you have really athletic tight ends that can outrun or out-athlete linebackers or even safeties a little bit, then you got to make sure that you're paying attention to them as best you can and try to get pressure on the quarterback. And that's a hard thing to do. It's about as big offensive line as you've ever seen. So that's a challenge too.
Is there anything that indicated to you before the game that Brandon maybe wouldn't have been ready to go?
Dawkins? Well, we weren't sure because of obviously the ribs, but he did a lot of stuff during the week in practice, but he didn't come out of the game because of that. He came out of the game because he got dinged sometime.
What's the concussion protocol like for you throughout the week?
It's whatever the medical people say. They do a series of tests. They test them every day. They test them after the game. They test them the day after the game. They test them every day after that. And then whatever the procedure is as far as the medical staff clearing him, that's what we follow. So and it's not always the same for there's different levels of where you're at. So, the answer is, I don't think you really know, because you get tested every day, what a guy's availability is going to be for the weekend.
Did you go into that game thinking, it's possible that Brandon's going to get re-injured and we have to have Khalil ready?
Well, we did because of the ribs, and not that we were hoping he would be able to protect it and all that, but if he was going to take another shot on the ribs and have to come out for a few series, you better have another guy ready. So Khalil, like I said, we rep our twos as much as our ones anyway, so he was getting more reps during the week. But if Brandon can't go and now it's Khalil, then what's next? So it's a challenge to get everything ready, but we'll put something together.
The same case with Nick, where you think you're going to use him?
Yeah, Nick we were hopeful. He warmed up. We were hopeful that he would be able to go, but I think he felt during warm-ups that he couldn't quite push off like he wanted to, and so he couldn't go. And again, this week will be another week, see how he goes, and try to push him a little harder in practice and see if he can get some confidence to go.
How satisfied are you with how quickly your wide receivers are getting open in their routes for Brandon and Khalil?
Oh, I think they've done a pretty good job. They've been, they've been pretty good coverage on them at times. And I think what we've done well outside is compete with some deep balls. So we've thrown some deep balls up and some one-on-ones, and our guys have done a pretty good job of that, or getting some pass interference calls. So, the receivers are running routes. We've been playing pretty solid, but you would hope that because they're a veteran group.
Sean Brown obviously has emerged, a non-senior, leading the team in receiving, but Cedric Peterson also made a big play on the sideline. How do you feel about some of him and Sean and some of the younger guys kind of coming along?
Yeah, and we probably need to play, we're probably going to play Cedric more. I think it's been a process with Coach Dews of getting confidence in him, and I think every week we're getting more and more with Cedric. Obviously, we have it with Sean, and Poindexter's been hurt. With Sean Poindexter, if he gets healthy, whenever that is, he'll be back in the mix. And we're going to push Cam, too. Cam Denson's another guy who can help us, but he's got to continue to work and progress in order for Coach Dews and myself to get him in there for more plays. So we have some pretty good bodies here. Obviously, we're led by the three seniors, but some of the young guys have given us some confidence.
Is there one particular area for Cam where he needs to take that next step?
Just everything. Like a lot of guys, he's not a young guy because he's been in the program, but he's relatively new to the position, and we've seen some positive things from him, so I think he'll be okay.
The special teams just continue to kind of not do what you want them to do.
Yeah, part of that, I get really frustrated because we work so hard at it, and Coach Rago has a good plan, but part of it's been a revolving door of some positions because of, when a guy gets hurt, we don't want a guy to have to play 80, 90 plays on offense and defense and then play another 20 on special teams. So we're revolving some fresh guys in there, but I think a lot of times in this last game is that we didn't kick the ball as well as we can, but they were just unconscious. Their punter, where his placement of the ball on the 1 yard line a couple times, inside the 5, I think one time, and he was phenomenal. He was, and their kicker obviously was good too, but their punter was what made a huge difference in this game.
Anything more for Coach?
How would you analyze Devontae Neal's season so far?
Well, it's probably not as good as we would like or he would like. He's a competitive guy, and he didn't play as much in the last game, but and he's been battling a little bit of a wrist injury too, so he hasn't been able to do all the things he wanted to do. But Devontae's a competitor, and we're going to need him throughout the season.
Zach Green, carrying tacklers and some of those runs. Would you like to get him the ball a little more than you have been?
Oh, I don't know. I think that's more he's gotten in 3 years in the program, so he's probably pretty happy. But I'm really proud of Zach. Like I said, he's doing everything we ask him to do. He's making the most of his opportunity. We're getting more and more confidence in him. And he is a load. He's a thick guy. It's really strong. So I'm glad because we needed him to step into that role, and he's done pretty good.
What was your sense of the team's mood when you guys gathered back together again, Sunday for practice? Were guys pretty upbeat, or?
Yeah, I'm not a let's measure their mood kind of a deal. We just kind of work. Obviously if you're coming off a loss, you're not going to be as happy as you were for coming off a win. But you know, they've always come to work, and, you know, they understand Sunday's a tough day, it's a critical day, because we were critical of everything, you know, calls and plays and everything, and then after Sunday's over, we move on to the next one. That's what we're doing.
Coach, I don't know if you saw the film where at the end of the game, Juju Smith went down late near the goal line rather than scoring. You curious about that
That's a great teaching moment. You know, you have a call, you tell your players when a first down wins the game, get down. And he's obviously a veteran guy that I probably a lot of people are going to use that as an example. He knows that's the game's over. Pretty smart.
Thinking of that, of the guys you have in college football, the time and circumstance, time and place, how many of those players understand that?
Well, you hope all of them. And we do a lot of, I guess, I don't want to say cross-teaching, but total football teaching as far as situations go. We started that in the summer a little bit, but particularly in camp. We'll have the whole team there, and we'll be teachable moments for the whole team. And you hope that registers and stays in them. You know, sometimes it doesn't, but that's part of our job. I hope it does.
Speaking of Smith, what do you do with your corner? What do you tell your defensive backs to defend a guy like that who's just big and fast and hard to
Well, you
stop?
got to be really competitive, and you got to play with confidence. You know he's going to win some routes, but you got to be physical with him. And you know he's such a big, strong guy too. And you hope you have a little bit of help over the top, but you also got to get some pressure on him and not just have the quarterback all day to throw to him. But you got to challenge your guys' competitiveness and tell them go out there and compete with them.
What was your evaluation of Khalil in this past game?
His demeanor was outstanding. His composure for a 17-year-old freshman coming in there is really unreal. And he's still learning. And there's a few things, obviously we'd like to have back. He'd like to have back. But every game's a learning experience, and I think he'll grow from that. And he made some plays for us. We're going to, like I said, the future's great at that position. We've got several guys, and we got more help coming. So it's just right now we've got to be able to put a package together for whoever the quarterback is or quarterbacks are so we can have success, and that's our challenge.
How close is Anu to being able to practice fully? Or
He's doing more every day. Just, I don't know when he's going to be ready for a game.
Okay, thanks everyone. Coach.
All right.